Am I willing? Am I willing? And that's where I see people really falling down right now. Seems to be the crux of a lot of problems for individuals. They start to get clear. They know what the problem is. They believe somewhat that there's a solution that they can actually step into. But when it comes to the willing part, then it's kind of like, I don't know, something seems to be getting in individuals' heads. Welcome to our support program for how to manage uncertainty during a major crisis. I've got some really good information for you today. It's both mindset and practical. So it's going to, it's going to give you something to do to be able to move forward as we see that this seems to be persisting longer and longer. So every day we're finding out that it's going to go a little longer than we thought. So we need to be able to plan for that. And we need to be able to plan for it from a place of really understanding, like I've been saying, that we're in a pause from life as normal. We have to constantly remind ourselves of that because we have to think differently and we have to behave differently in order to make it through this and thrive as we come out on the other end. So this is a quote by the great Leland Van Vanderwall. And I think it's very important to understand this. Because whenever there's a crisis, when something really dramatic happens in a person's life, it can bring out both the best in their character and the worst in their character. So this is what it says. The degree to which a person can grow is directly proportional to the amount of truth that he can accept about himself without running away. And I don't think I've ever seen a time where this is more accurate, because as this goes on, what I'm personally seeing in individuals is both great things coming out, but also a lot of nasty things are coming out. And it's really based in fear and uncertainty. This whole idea that we're having to stay home, as you can tell, I had to come back to my office today, having an internet problem at home, but there's nobody here. I'm the only one in the building. Everybody, all of my team is working from home. So that's pretty social distancing, if you ask me. Anyway, as we're stuck in our homes, we have this tendency to really start getting on each other's nerves. And because the underlying issue is uncertainty, is fear, is not knowing how long it's going to go, what's going to come out, there's a tendency to snap at each other. There's a tendency to not be understanding as to what the other person is actually going through. So it's very important that we start to really think about how we're thinking, what's controlling our thinking, and how do we prioritize the problems that we're having so that we can see the untruth in what we're personally experiencing. Each one of us is experiencing this differently and unique, because we're all unique individuals and we all think differently. We all process differently. We all have patterns of dealing with life that are different. So this kind of shows us what those things are in a very big way. And it may be showing some people things that they never thought were in them before, because it's such an emotional situation for so many people. So what we want to understand here is that we're going to be forced to really look at hard truths in ourselves, both good and bad. And we have to really look at them, and we have to be radically honest with ourselves about what we're experiencing and not run away from them. Running away from them is being in denial. It is acting out aggressively or vindictively. It is blaming other people. It is projecting hostility and blame onto other people. And it's one thing if you're doing it in your mind toward some entity like, the virus itself or whatever. But when that starts to manifest in our own homes, it's really not a good thing. This is a time where we actually need to come together and really try to understand each other and have a really good measure of patience. So we really want to understand this. We are forced to look at truths inside of ourselves that we may not like seeing. And we also may be very surprised at how we react in good ways to this, because it's a situation that is forcing us to think in ways that we've never really had to think before. If you've never really had to really figure out what to do in a time of crisis or trouble, this is kind of forcing you to have to go to that place and really understand what creative, innovative thinking is like and really get into problem solving mode. Now, I believe everybody has the ability to go into problem solving mode. Some people are better at it than others. And the only reason somebody would be better at it is if it was already part of their life. It was something that they've practiced for a long time in their life, problem solving. But if a person really didn't practice that in their life, then this might be, kind of like the wrong situation to have to start. But it is something that you can learn, and you can learn very quick. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. Okay, so I'm going to share something with you, and then I'm going to take you through a diagram. And this is something that Emerson said, and I think it's very interesting. He called it basically a self-fulfilling cycle of doom, meaning that if a person thinks the wrong way or in a way that's not productive, or they don't construct their thoughts productively, they end up creating more problems over and over again, regardless of the situation. The situation just exacerbates what's actually going on, because usually it's the situation itself that sparks the thought going down the wrong direction to begin with. So he says the average individual's mind is busily engaged in a hodgepodge of totally unrelated ideas, the like of which would have difficulty finding outside of a common encyclopedia. Their mind is being dazzled through their senses by moving objects, flashy colors, wild and weird sounds. Order and vision and focus are near impossible because of the mental state that they permit themselves to be in during their waking hours. Now, one of the things that's important here that he said was that they permit themselves to be in this chaotic state. So regardless of the fact that there's chaos going on around us, we can make a choice through responsibility to remove ourselves from that and move out of a chaotic state, which I'm going to show you in a minute. He says they believe themselves to be a physical thing in a world of things. In other words, they're subject kind of in a victim way to everything that's going on around them. They're clutched by an unseen enemy. The lack and limitation being expressed by their present results have captured their conscious control, which is what's happening to most people right now. They concentrate all of their mental energy on their limited supply, and thereby they create more of the same. Only the thing that we think of, where we focus our attention, will grow. So if we're focused on something negative, that will grow. Even if it's in our own mind. If we focus on something positive, that will grow. If we focus on just the problem but not the solution, the problem will grow. We'll make it bigger in our own mind. We'll make it bigger in our own reality. So this is a diagram of how this actually looks. It starts off, I've changed this a little bit to kind of fit the scenario here. We have our environment. So we all know what's going on in our environment, and we observe our environment all the time. Now, as we observe the environment, it automatically causes thoughts in our conscious mind. So we observe, it causes thoughts. Those thoughts that we think then cause feelings, and those feelings cause actions. If we allow our thoughts to be controlled by whatever the environment is suggesting, we end up with the same results. Now, in this case, it would be slightly different because we'll probably end up with worse results. It'll be something that gets exacerbated, and it keeps becoming worse as time goes on, not actually getting better. One of the main reasons for that is because the environment is changing so fast. The information, the statistics are changing at a very rapid speed, and for the most part, they're getting worse, not better. So we have to understand that that's happening outside of ourselves. It's causing us to think thoughts, which then get backed up by the equivalent kind of emotion. So that could be worry, doubt, fear, anxiety. That causes actions. One of the biggest actions that we see right now is either denial or people just freezing in place, not knowing what to do, which is actually doing something. It's not addressing the personal issues that they actually have going on. So they ultimately end up making decisions out of fear, which turn out to be not good choices to begin with. And then they end up getting the same results. So now let's take a look at what the flip side of this is. This part comes from James Allen. He says, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It's the result of long and patient effort and self-control. Its presence is an indication of ripened experience and a more than ordinary knowledge of the laws and the operations of thought. A person becomes calm in the measure that he understands himself as a thought-evolved being, for such knowledge necessitates the understanding of others as a result of thought. And as he develops a right understanding and sees more and more clearly the internal relations of things by the action of cause and effect, he ceases to fuss, fume, worry, and grieve, and remains poised, steadfast, and serene. That comes right from James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. So I have a diagram that supports that one also. So where does that start? Well, the first place that it starts with responsibility. We accept responsibility for the place that we're in. And it has to be a constant reminder. I'm responsible for my own situation, for my own circumstances, and how I choose to think, feel, and behave in this time, okay? So you choose your thoughts. You choose to think about this the way that you want to think about it so that it's productive. And if you remember on the other calls, one of the things that I talked about was, in order to choose your thoughts, what's the meaning that you're going to give this crisis? What is the meaning that you're going to give it? Because the meaning is really going to define whether or not you have negative thoughts like the old chart or you have positive thoughts in your conscious mind here. If you choose to give it a good meaning, not in denial, but looking at it just from a factual standpoint and understanding that we cannot operate the way that we were operating a few weeks ago. We're operating by a new set of rules and a new set of circumstances. There's great opportunity within those circumstances. There's great advantage in those circumstances. But if we don't think differently within those circumstances, we become blind to it because our mind constantly wants to go back to the way things were and then compare it to what's happening now, which leads us to really kind of like defeatist thinking. When that happens, when we have defeatist thinking, the biggest problem that we're actually experiencing in that moment is that we think to ourselves, there's nothing that I can do. I'm kind of a victim to this, and there's nothing that I can actually do, which is that's a complete lie. That is a complete falsehood. We all have the ability to do tremendous things, but you have to be willing to go and get the information in order to make different decisions right now. So I'll give you, for instance, on that. So when the White House signed the bill the other day that is going to provide money and resources to people and businesses, my CEO, Steph Tuss, was up all night going through all the 800 pages of that bill. Why? So that she could be empowered to make intelligent decisions for our company, to inform me on what the options were to make decisions based on our company, where we are and where we're going and what's available to us. But if you think to yourself, oh, hell, that's 800 pages. I can't get through it. I won't understand it. I don't want to read it. Somebody else tell me what it is. You automatically put yourself in a defeatist position because you're not understanding what your options are. See, options, there's plenty of options here for people, but you're going to have to put forth an effort in order to get those options, understand those options, and begin to implement those options. So they're all here. They're here from a point of what the government's providing. They're here from a point of what you can do in your business currently. A lot of things have changed in a way where there's opportunity here for people that are in business where there was not opportunity before. And I'll probably talk about that on a call in a week or two, once we compile all of the information. But you don't need to wait for me to tell you. You could start doing the research yourself online, and you could start to see what things are popping as opportunity because everybody's starting to share information. So that causes positive thoughts. When you actually decide, hey, I'm going to take charge of this, I'm going to start educating myself on what's out there and what we can do so that I can make better choices for me, my business, my family, that type of thing. What does that do? It gives you productive feelings. The one thing that it does that I think is very important is it gives us all a feeling of control in this situation. You know, so many people are experiencing fear and anxiety probably because they feel like control has been taken away from them. But you have to remember, what we can choose, the things that we can choose may be different. Not maybe, they are very different. But the ability to choose was not taken away from anybody. We all have the ability to choose, but we need to educate ourselves as to what it is that we're going to choose if we're actually going to make productive thoughts. But that feeling of control also helps give us a feeling of I can do something about my situation. I can remain calm in this situation. I can create a strategic plan of action in order to get the results that I'm actually looking for so I can make it through this and keep my business and my family and myself sane and stable and have great results on the other side, which then moves to productive actions. That means that we can take actions based on the law of cause and effect will give us the results that we're looking for to be able to do whatever it is that is necessary currently. That is called a creative outcome, right? It's a creative outcome. So all of this knowledge is available to everybody right now, but you have to be willing to dig in, get away from the news, dig in and start finding this knowledge, find out what's available to you as a person, as a business, and then see how that affects your individual experience and the individual problems and challenges that you're facing during this time. It's so vitally important that we spend a significant amount of time educating ourselves right now, because things are changing on a daily basis where there's good things that are coming down the pike that allow us to do things to save businesses. I mean, there's millions of businesses that are going out of business. Millions of people have been laid off or are out of a job. And they're doing things economically to be able to start to turn that around. And also, you have to think about the education that you currently have, the skill sets that you currently have, and think about how do I innovate what I used to do and make it relevant in the space that we're in right now. But you have to think. Very important what I'm about to say. If you're constantly verbally repeating what you don't want. So let me give you an example. You're talking about the virus and how many people are dying, how high the numbers are actually going, what's going on in your state, what's going on with your business, all from a negative perspective. Like, it's one thing to like have a conversation with people about here's what the facts are. But if you're just ruminating it over and over and over again, and you talk to one person, and then you get on the phone and talk to somebody else, and then you talk to somebody else, and it just keeps going on, your voice is a creative instrument. meaning that you're going to, by what you're speaking, is going to cause you to stay stuck in those thoughts. Your mind does what it does, which is amplify those thought patterns. And then that becomes your whole world, which you keep creating more of the same problem in your life. So we want to make sure that we're not doing that, okay? Like I said, it's one thing to talk about it factually, just to understand what's going on and to stay informed. But then our mind needs to turn over to, what is the information that I need to learn that is actually going to help me make better decisions right now so that we can move forward in this situation. Okay, so I'm going to bring up another board here. Just give me 1 second. So, yes, everybody on my team that's watching me, I did change the marker. I have the whiteboard marker so that you can stop freaking out. Okay. This is an exercise that we do in our program that's called Date with Your Dark Side. And what this exercise is designed to do is it's designed to eliminate the confusion in decision making and literally list out the productive activities that you're going to take based on the truth. So as I have this up here on the screen, you should take out a sheet of paper and write down, just copy this, okay? Copy it on a sheet of paper so that you have it, and then you can do this on your own with your own situation. But what I want to do is I want to go through what this actually is, and then maybe we can run somebody who's got a really good question, Steph, when we open it up for Q&A. Maybe we can even open up for Q&A a little bit early, and I can run 1 or 2 people actually through this for real, so everybody can see how this works for a person other than me just doing it as a demonstration. So keep an eye on the questions in the chat. So here we have these columns, okay? The first one is called toleration. I don't know if you can actually see it on the video or not, so I'm telling you what it is. It's toleration. The second one is desire. So toleration is, what are you currently tolerating in your life? What are you currently tolerating in your life? Toleration is basically this: something that exists in your life. It's a situation, a circumstance, a way of being. It could be something in a relationship. It could be anywhere. Something that you're tolerating that you don't want. But you're tolerating it primarily because you don't know how to remove it, okay? The second column is desire. This is where we list what we actually do want, okay? Now, both of these have to be very clear, right? I'll get back to that in a minute. Third one is excuse. That means, what is the excuse that we tell ourselves about the toleration that keeps us in the problem? Then the next column is the lie. Now, let me explain this for a minute. Why do we have this here? Because when we make an excuse, if we believe in the excuse and we're not able to move out of the toleration, 100% every single time in the excuse that we're making, in that story of an excuse, there is something that we believe in that is an out and out lie. Why? Because the universe is based on clarity. All decisions to move forward are based on clarity. Believe it or not, even decisions where you're in extreme fear and you go into fight or flight and you have to do that, in that moment, you get hyper clear about what something is and you're able to move out of that situation. But let's talk about this from a positive perspective. When we make an excuse about tolerating something in our life, it's because we feel like we can't do anything about it. That could be personally. Maybe it could be that I procrastinate, I'm in fear, I'm lazy, I'm uneducated, I don't know what to do. Whatever it might be, somewhere in that excuse is a lie. So what we want to do is we want to pull out specifically the lie that we believe in that keeps that excuse alive and relevant in our life. After we do that, we're going to go to the truth. So what is the truth that supersedes the lie in the situation? that allows us to make a more conscious, aware choice based in the truth, like universal truth, right? It's an absolute truth, so that we can make a new decision to get out of what it is that we're tolerating. And then, of course, last but not least, what we do is we articulate a new behavior that is instantly going to take us out of the toleration and toward manifesting the desire that we want in our life. Now, typically, when I'm teaching this, like I said, I'm teaching it in a seminar, and we're teaching it to individuals, usually mostly business people, but anybody really. And we're looking at, in their life, what are they actually tolerating that's actually keeping them from success? The reason that I decided to use this for today's lesson was because we have a very interesting situation that's actually happened here. So it brings up a whole new set of tolerations. Now, I want to point something out. I've had several conversations with individuals that are bringing past problems, past tolerations, past excuses into this present decision, into this present scenario. And they're allowing their past story to be relevant right now. And in very few cases is that actually so. What it is it's an example of how we're not understanding that we're not in the same situation, the same world, if you will, that we were a few weeks ago. So whatever the problems were in the past, there's a very real possibility that the excuse, the lie, the truth, all of that is no longer relevant based on the new data that we have as far as how we're actually living in it and experiencing our life. So we don't want to make the mistake of actually doing that. And I see couples making this mistake. I see them making this mistake a lot. How are they making the mistake? Well, they're making the mistake in their relationship. There could be a problem in their relationship that was exacerbated by something that was going on in the past. And the problem may still be there during this situation, but it's not being caused by what was causing it in the past. It's being caused by something very different. And that's the fear and the stress and the feeling of being out of control in this current situation. So why is it important to know that? Because the remedy for it's very different than it would be if we were dealing with life the way that it actually was a few weeks ago. I just cannot stress enough that you have to really consciously think about how you're thinking about things and realize that the rules have changed, the game has changed, everything is basically different, and we have to approach it based on the new set of rules. And so many people don't know what the rules are, right? So, and the idea that the rules are changing every day can be very maddening for a lot of people. That's why you have to stay informed, okay? So it's changing in a negative way every day, and now it's starting to change in a positive way where there's resources that are coming in that we all have the ability to take advantage of in one way or another to make things easier. Also, there's decisions that we can make for ourselves, for our business, for our personal life, that we probably would have never made before. So for instance, like if a person has, and I've mentioned this before, if their income has completely stopped, and for whatever their personal circumstance situation is, they can't bring in any income, they may have to make phone calls to, for their rent or for their mortgage or their car, and get everything deferred for a few months in order to, when their income starts coming back in again. And they're from a value perspective, that goes against their values. It goes against their ethics. They don't pay bills late or not pay them. They'll take on 2 or 3 jobs just to make sure that they can pay things, on time. And I totally understand that perspective. But if you can't do that in this situation, then it is much better that you preserve what you do have versus go completely broke with no way of actually bringing in income. Now, I do think, and I've said this before also, that each one of us has some way that we could bring income in if we really think through what we have, and our ability to do something within this situation. I know that from the perspective of the universal laws, it has to be true. So, but it does require that you become informed. It requires that you think outside of the box in this new situation, and you maybe have to really think about not necessarily the way that you've done things in the past from a place of providing product or service, although that may work, but how can you do something different to be relevant right now? So let's go through this a little bit here. Let's take the toleration of, say, no money coming in. So if you're in a situation where there's no money coming in and you're not doing anything about that, you're tolerating that situation. Now you have to ask yourself, what is your desire? Okay. Now this works much better with an actual real circumstance, because anytime that you do something metaphorically or just like for pretend or whatever, you can kind of alter the situation where it appears like the laws of the universe don't work. But in every real situation, it does. So just bear with me here. Let's say your desire is to be able to make money and to be able to pay your bills. On this side, you can't pay your bills. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is the excuse that you're making? Now, you don't want to get confused here, because you may say to yourself, well, David, it's not an excuse, it's a fact. I don't have any money coming in. I don't have any savings. Let's just say that's your situation. I can't pay my bills. That's a fact. It's not an excuse. I'm not making an excuse. So I would argue that you are making an excuse, and it may be a fact of the circumstances that money is not actually coming in, and maybe you don't have a reserve to tap into, but that doesn't mean that you can't pay your bills. What it means is that you've accepted the current situation as totally factual without any workaround whatsoever. And that would be, so the excuse would be, I can't. And the lie would be that there's no workaround. That would, excuse me. The lie would be that there's no workaround. And that's absolutely not true. There is, but you have to be able to think through it. Now, when we open it up for questions, if you say to me, well, tell me what the workaround is for me, here's the problem that I have in my situation. I can't see into your life to know what your resources are, what you have, what you don't have, what all the possibilities are. If I was to sit down with you for a period of time, we could line item all that stuff out and I could help you figure that out. But we're not doing that in what we're doing right now. So this requires that you think. How do we want to think? Well, let's accept that the lie is that there's no workaround. There has to be a workaround. It's the law of polarity. It's the opposite side of the same thing. So if you say there's no workaround, there has to be a solution to that. So the question is, what is the truth? In this situation, the truth is going to be that there is a workaround. There's opportunity. There's opportunity there. That's the truth. You don't need to know what the opportunity is for you to believe that that's the truth. Because here's the deal. If you want to figure out what the opportunity is, you first have to believe that there's an opportunity there. If you've completely closed your mind to the idea that there's no opportunity, you're not going to find an opportunity. A matter of fact, you're literally giving a command to your brain to say there's no opportunity, so you won't even recognize it if it comes to you in most cases. And that's a real problem. Hill talked about that in Think and Grow Rich. He said, Opportunities usually come in a crisis, in some kind of misfortune or temporary defeat. That's when big opportunities show up. But because they come disguised, people don't recognize them. Now, when I first read that, I thought to myself, well, what the hell? An opportunity can't disguise itself. What he meant was that in a person's mind, it's disguised. It doesn't look like an opportunity. So you also have to ask yourself the question, how do you view an opportunity? Like, what would your rules be for an opportunity? And you might want to expand on that a little bit, because where opportunity comes in a situation like this, it's going to be very different than it would be when life is running normally. So you have to really think to yourself, when you're looking at different things as being an opportunity, you have to think to yourself, based on the law of cause and effect, how could this benefit me, my life, my business, my family, etc.? Okay? It requires thinking, really thinking, sitting down with a pen, a paper, a calculator, whatever it is that you need, the internet, and really thinking and investigating what it is that you have in front of you, so that you can actually see and find the opportunity that has to be there. But it absolutely has to be there. There's no question. So then the new behavior in this moment would be to identify opportunity. Identify it. But that is a behavior, when you make the decision to identify it, there's no turning back. You're not going to try for 5 minutes and say, oh, there's nothing in my email, I don't see anything on social media, there's no opportunity. You have to dig in and be persistent until you find it. That may require talking to people. That might require asking questions. That might require that you read the bill that was passed yourself. And for other people in the world, because we have people all over the world on this call, you have to find out in your country, in your part of the world, what are the opportunities that are there? What are the opportunities in other countries that you might be able to meet a need via the internet? I mean, the whole idea of the internet is giving us a tremendous opportunity that if this had happened before the internet, frankly, we would not have that opportunity. It would be very, very difficult. It would be a real major issue, because the opportunity would have to come in a very different way for us to be able to do it. And with the same problem of not being able to leave the house. So everybody that has a computer or a phone, you literally have a window into the rest of the world to find opportunity. Don't take it for granted. It is absolutely an amazing tool to be able to use for a situation like this. It has the ability to take you out of the problem that you're experiencing and into a completely different world where you can begin to identify opportunities in your life. So hang on, let me check something here. Okay, I'm going to go back over something else. And then, Steph, let's do one or two people. At about a quarter after, let's open it up, and I'm going to take it. We'll do regular questions too, but I want to take one or two people through this and see if we can't really demonstrate this for real for individuals. Okay?
Okay.
So before we do that, I want to show you this again. So I believe I showed you this before. It may be repetitive. Maybe I didn't, but I think that I did. So here's the thing. We have to get clear, okay? Very clear on what do we want. Do not go, I want things to go back to normal, because that's in denial of the situation that we're in. You have to accept the situation that we're in, and you have to work within that situation. We'll get back to normal when we get back to normal. But one of the most important things is that we're clear. We're very clear on what we want and what we need to do in this moment to solve problems, make it through difficulties, deal with issues that may be going on in relationships or families, deal with financial issues, deal with business issues. With everything that you have that's an issue or a problem or a challenge, you want to bring some real clarity to what you want as an outcome, okay? Now, where are we? We're down here somewhere, okay? So this is you right here. The biggest problem in getting to what it is that we want is to really understand first where we are, where you are as an individual. And that's what Leland Val Vanderwall said. He said it's about looking at the truth inside of us. So if we're in a situation where we're experiencing real emotional issues during this, it's not about acting like you're not experiencing real emotional issues during this. It's about acknowledging that you are and understanding that that's where you are. So that becomes your starting point. The first thing that you have to do is to get a control over your emotional issues. If you're in a situation where money's not coming in or it's been tapered back quite a bit, it's to understand that's where you are, okay? So if you're having problems in your relationship, problems in your family, it's understanding that's where you are. So I would individually take every area of your life and seriously write down, where am I right now? What is the problem? What is the challenge that's going on right now? And the reason is because you need a consciousness around the idea of what the actual problem is. And that's so that you can do the toleration chart that I just showed you, okay? So now what we want to do is we want to go to where it is that we want to go. 2 questions have to be answered to be able to do this, right? The first one is, am I able to do it? Okay. Now, here's what I'll say to you. First of all, I know everybody that's listening to this, everybody's able to do it if they're willing to put in the effort and they're willing to use the right tools to help them think correctly during this situation. If you don't think you're able to do it, believe in my belief that you can do it, okay? Use the leverage of my belief that you can do it, and you'll find out that that actually works. Also understand what's the downside of not doing that. The downside is worse. Like there's nothing that's going to go wrong by believing that you can actually turn your situation around. But the real big question is, am I willing? Am I willing? And that's where I see people really falling down right now. This seems to be the crux of a lot of problems for individuals. They start to get clear. They know what the problem is. They believe somewhat that there's a solution that they can actually step into. But when it comes to the willing part, then it's kind of like, I don't know, something seems to be getting in individuals' heads. So not only do we have to change and understand that we're not operating during the same rules, but you may have to work more diligently. You may have to work longer. You may have to ask for help. You may have to do things that you didn't normally do in order to succeed in this situation. So it has been a tremendous disrupt for so many people's lives. And the truth is that maybe a person's life was, kind of average. So let's use like an average life. A person goes to work, they work, 8-10 hours a day. They go home, they spend time with their family, they do whatever, they go to bed, they get up, do it again. They're off on the weekends, a couple of weeks vacation, just regular traditional life, right? I don't know what yours is, but you put your situation in there. That's all changed. That's all changed. You may have to work 10, 12, 14 hours a day in order to get all of this done, meaning that you're putting in the time and the research to find out what is available to you, how to use it, getting on the phone, negotiating with creditors, getting on the phone with possibly your accountant or your bookkeeper or your attorney or whoever you need to talk to, filling out paperwork to be able to get the correct loans. And on top of it, what are you doing for your business on top of it? So most of the people that I know that are entrepreneurs right now, they're working extremely long days. They're leveraging their team if they haven't let them go. Their teams are working very long days so that everything that needs to be switched over can be switched over, and they can get the things done, accomplished the way they want to get them done. If you're coming from a place where you're saying, oh, hell, I'm just not willing to do that. I'm too tired. I'm stressed. I'll do it tomorrow. I need to take the weekend off, blah, 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 blah. You ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it through this if that's the kind of attitude that you're going to take. You've got to step up to a higher side of yourself. You have to best your best every day. And not only is that really true when a person is really taking conscious control of building the life that they want. Like if you want to go after your dream during normal times and you want to create a business or you want to do something that's going to change the world or whatever it is that you want to do, you got to step up to a better self, a better side of yourself every day. You have to develop yourself. You have to explore who that person is. You have to learn. You have to practice it. You have to step into it, and you have to grow. And you have to keep doing that over and over again. In our society, though, that's pretty much a choice for people because we've built a society that under normal circumstances, society kind of takes care of people that don't want to do that. And if you fall into that category anywhere, you're going to be in big trouble if you don't step up to a higher side of yourself. And really, it's about demanding more of yourself than anybody else could possibly demand. This virus, this thing with the economy, with the global situation that we're in, requires everybody to step up and best their best every single day. Give everything that they have in order to be able to pull through this. We have to pull together as people, and we have to hold ourselves accountable to something that's higher if we're going to actually make this through this and come out the other side. I believe that if a person does that and they intelligently do the things based on cause and effect that are in front of them and they're able to do, you could come out of this and you could be in a really great place. I'm seeing more and more opportunity open up for businesses every single day. People are getting extremely creative in figuring out how to make money, how to revamp their business and do something different. But you have to think about, a lot of people are in a situation where the business model that they had 2 weeks ago just does not work right now. So it's like, okay, we have all the pieces and the parts. How do we tear it apart and put it back together in a way where it actually does work, where it's going to benefit other people? And that's really the way that we need to be thinking about it. You have to be like a resounding, I am absolutely willing to do whatever is necessary to make through this. And here's the other thing. It's not going to make you a worse of a person coming out the other side. It's going to make you a much stronger individual. You have to realize how historic what we're going through is. This is going to be like one of the biggest things in history books forever. Like the world's never seen anything like this before. And you're all part of it. We're all part of actually going through this. What side of history do you want to come out on this? Do you want to be the numbers of the victims that are going to be written about? Or do you want to be the numbers of the people that made it through and actually did really great coming out of the other side of this? All of that comes down to this decision. Are you willing? Are you really willing to see what you're made of and put forth everything that you have into being able to do something positive and productive for yourself? I believe that you all can. Believe in my belief that you can do it and follow the directions that we're giving you and other information that you should be sourcing that will help you make positive, educated decisions to move forward. So, Steph, should we do one or two of these?
Sure. If you know how to unmute someone on your end, because I don't have the capability on mine.
Okay, let me see what I can do. All right, who are we looking at here?
So Connie Kaplan.
Okay.
Can you see her? Can you unmute her?
Where would I find her? In the Q&A, right?
No, if you go to participants or attendees,
Hang on. Got it. Okay.
do you have the ability to unmute from there?
Hold on. I'm getting there. Let me see if I can find her now.
It says if you
Got her,
hover
got
over
her,
the
got her,
attendee's
got her,
name,
got her.
you got it? Okay.
Yes.
All right,
Connie.
Connie, can you hear us?
See, I had to step up to a better version of myself. I didn't know how to
Oh
do
my
that.
gosh, I'm so proud of you right now. Our whole team has got to be like high-fiving themselves right now.
Hi,
Connie, can you hear me?
Yeah, Connie, we can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So, of course, I'm dealing with, of course, I have no money. I have no control over anything. And I keep telling myself that I don't even know where to start because I'm a mess. But
Okay, so let me do this. Can I let me walk you through this. Let me ask you very specific questions, and you try to only answer the question that I ask, okay?
Perfect.
All right. One thing that you're tolerating right now because of the coronavirus.
The status quo, business as usual, when it's not business as usual,
So be more specific. Is that no money?
that's no money.
No money coming in?
Correct.
Okay, let me write that down. Okay, what is your desire? What do you want?
What I want is to have the best month ever. Because, I mean, I would tolerate meeting payroll and making rent, but that's not what I really want.
Okay, so let's back up here for a second, right? Because this is
Yeah.
two different things. Okay, this literally is two different things. Before this happened, were you doing your best months ever, or were you just getting by?
Oh no, I was having best months ever. January, February, there were.
Okay, so the first thing that we need to get to is that you're getting your need met, right?
Yes.
Because once you get your need met, because that's the number one priority. Everything's changed, right? It's not like it was. Get our need met, and then we figure out how to go beyond the need. Because right now, it's totally wiped everything clean. You're not bringing in any money at all.
I'm bringing some, but it's very little. Not enough to cover the need.
Okay, so let's work there. So the desire then would to bring in to meet your need, okay?
Yes.
That's first. What is it? What is the excuse you're telling yourself that you can't bring in the money to meet the need?
Oh, people are all laid off and they have no money to pay me.
People have no money. Okay. So in this excuse, Connie, what's the lie? What's not true about that excuse?
That people do have the money. It's just a matter of assigning priority to my service.
Okay, so the lie is that people don't have money.
Yeah.
All right. Now, for everybody that's listening, this is very important because that is the specific lie that's keeping her from making the necessary change in order to find the money. So the truth is that there are people that do have money. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. People do have money. Okay, now what needs to change? What's the new behavior that you need to do in order to find and sell the people that do have money? What needs to change?
I need to find those specific people who have the deadline and don't have a choice, perhaps. Or those individuals who are not necessarily affected by the layoffs, so provide a different service to them.
What do you do?
Immigration.
Okay, you do immigration. So all right, so that's good. So the idea is that you're going to find people that have the money already to pay you, whether they're laid off or not, because there are immigration attorneys that I know of that are still doing immigration.
Uh-huh.
So it's about finding those individuals, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if we're going to find those individuals, what do you have to do different to find the individuals with money versus the ones that you were working with that are primarily getting laid off?
I don't know.
If you did know,
How
do you typically find the people that you generally work with?
referral sources and different marketing for different product lines.
Okay. So are you asking people for referrals for individuals that need this service that have money?
No.
Okay. You need to start doing that immediately.
Okay.
And that needs to be something that you consistently do because it's a major way that you bring in money. There's people out there that have money that will hire you, but you need to ask. Okay.
Correct.
And everybody that could possibly be a referral source, you need to ask them. And then even if they don't know, ask them if they know somebody who would know. You cannot stop on that. Okay. So let me write that down. And then you talked about marketing, yes?
Yes. So
Okay.
I need to change the marketing to address different issues, perhaps. People who are being abused now by their spouses or abused more and they can't tolerate it anymore because they're in the same house and can't go anywhere.
Okay.
That would be one thing.
Okay. Here's something else that you could do. You could do something like I'm doing, where you could create something for free and market to people with all of those problems, whether it's immigration or abuse or whatever. Let them come in for free and then find out how you can help all of them to start off with. And a certain percentage of those people will have money and be willing to pay you to help them even further.
Okay.
And they will also know about you. So when they do have money, you'll have clients. As soon as this all starts back up again, you'll be able to hit the ground running.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, this is good. Okay.
Okay. So that's how this works. So we just solved the problem where you were stuck not knowing what to do because the lie was controlling the way that you think.
Yeah, but I think, I was watching your chart earlier where, where I am and what do I want? And I think my block is, am I willing? I think that's a question that I need to answer to myself and actually go and do, because now's the time to go and do.
It is. Yeah. You need to answer that. But you also need to ask yourself, if you're not willing to do it, what is the consequence of that?
Yeah.
Right? And everybody needs to ask themselves that question. So I just want to point something out to everybody because it is really such a powerful question. Am I willing? You have to ask yourselves, by stepping up to the challenge of being a better you, what's wrong with that? Like, yes, it takes more effort. You have to work harder. You have to demand that you think differently, but you're going to come out a better and stronger person. So what is the downside to be willing to do something that is going to make you a better, stronger person coming out of this? Because here's the opposite side. If you do nothing, you come out of this a weaker person, not a stronger person.
Totally. Yeah.
If people are willing to step into this and overcome, you know how much stronger you'll be with the next crisis that shows up in your life?
Yeah.
Because listen, folks, this isn't the only crisis you're going to happen in your life. Maybe the biggest one, but you're going to have other ones that present many different challenges to you. Each one has the ability to make us bigger and stronger and more resourceful. And nobody can ever take that away from you. Like, that's yours forever. You know that, damn it, whatever shows up in my life, I can whip this thing because I have the ability to do it. I have this history of doing it in the past. I'm learning how to do it now. I know what I need to do if we go in crisis mode, and I can win.
Thank you, David.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you very much, Connie.
No, thank you.
All right, where are we for time, Steph? Are we at the bottom of the hour?
Yep, we're at the bottom of the hour. Can
All
you
right,
go
so-
ahead and remove Connie from the dash?
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, let's just take regular Q&A from here on out. I think that was a really good demonstration. I don't want to get redundant with it, so let's just open it up for Q&A.
Okay, and just so you know, we posted the PDF of this in the Facebook group. So they have a PDF copy of this to run through this on their own.
You did? Okay, great. So they have a copy of the sheet then, right?
Yeah, in the Facebook group. Liz went ahead and posted it just a few minutes ago. So if you need a PDF copy of it, you can print multiple copies, go right ahead.
Okay, who's Clint? Why is Clint showing up on
I have
the...
no idea.
Can we take him off
I can't.
of there? I have to do
I
it.
think
eh?
you can. I can't. And if not, it's not a big deal. We'll just answer questions. There we go.
Sorry about that, Clint. Don't take it personally, man. I don't know who he is.
All right, ready for your first question?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to grab a chair here. Hang on a second.
Well, you might need this first question is about the first flow chart that you showed.
Okay.
So
All right.
you'll
Sure.
probably be
Okay.
standing.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
I'm
So
good.
this question is from Joy. She
Yeah.
says, I love this flow chart. And I saw when this question came in, and it was when you were doing the circle flow chart. Can you give us some concrete strategies to break the cycle when we are getting results and seeing what we don't want, to empower us to start the cycle from a place that is aligned with our desire?
Yeah, Steph, which chart is she referring to? That's the only thing I'm confused about.
The first one, the circle chart. Yep, that one.
Yeah, I most certainly can. Okay, so what this chart indicates is that the circumstances in the environment is triggering your thoughts. So it's literally causing a reaction in your mind to think a very specific way. And what we want to do is we want to knock this out so that it's not doing that. We want to decide what we want, and then we want to choose. We want to choose the thoughts that we want to think. It's very important. So you're not being influenced by the environment. You're choosing the thoughts that you want to think. Now, and this is where the line can get a little bit blurry, okay? So just like with the last woman that I just kind of helped through this thing, coming out, having your biggest month ever may not be the first thing that we want to go after. We have to look at it in order of priority. If you don't have any money coming in, we're really in denial if we start thinking about the first month ever. What we have to do is fix the bleeding to begin with, right? So it's to figure out, in that case, how do we meet our need in that moment? Once we meet our need and the boat stops sinking, then we could look at, can I implement a strategy to actually do better than just meet my need? So it's about priority first. So what we want to do when we're choosing our thought here is we want to really take a look at what is our situation. That's where I said, like, are you willing? Because you have to understand where you are. What are the problems and challenges? You need to write them down and really understand where they are. We cannot go into magical thinking during this time. It'll be magical thinking in the best case of scenario causes major problems in a person's life. In this scenario, it becomes catastrophic. Okay. So we don't want to go into magical thinking. We want to understand exactly where we are, and then we want to choose how we're going to think about those things. And if you listen to the first 4 videos that I did, I said that the very first thing that we want to go into, the very first thought we want to go into is gratitude. Because gratitude is basically telling your mind to look for what's right about this. Everybody on the planet knows what's wrong about it, okay? We don't need to keep getting that information. We need to look at what's right about this. What's right about our situation, what's right about the things that we can do, what's right about the options that are being offered to people all over the world to help them through this. We need to look at what's right about it, because that is going to then help us determine how we choose what it is that we want. Now, once we choose those thoughts, we have to do something else with it. We have to be clear. Clarity is key here. So I encourage everybody, once you choose what it is that you want, the problem that you're going to solve, how it looks like when it's solved, write it down. Write it down clearly so you have it in front of you every day, because a situation that we're in like this can literally, you could be clear now and an hour later you're confused again because something else got in your head. Okay. I'm watching this every day. Like, Steph and I have been working 7 days a week now for 3 weeks, and we're seeing it every day, all day long. A person's clear, an hour later, they're confused. You get them clear, an hour later, they're confused again. The problem is that they're letting stuff from their environment in their head, and they don't know what to think. So the mind goes into fear, it goes into worry, it goes into doubt. They're looking for something to believe in. They're looking for something to control, but it's literally a step-by-step process. It's gratitude, it's outlining the problem and then the solution that you want for yourself, and then looking for what's right in everything so that you can make conscious choices about how you're actually going to fix it. That then causes feelings of certainty. Certainty. We want feelings of certainty. We want to do things that give us feelings of certainty, because that really helps with the clarity, so we don't have that kind of like emotional fog that's going on, so that we can literally do things and feel confident in the choices that we're actually making. And that's what we want. What certainty helps bring in confidence, and then we immediately take action on this. We do not want to procrastinate. Procrastination allows confusion to come in really fast. I talked about using your calendar every day. From the moment you get up to the moment you get to bed, go to bed, put all your activities in there, everything that you need to do, including family, including self-care, including your spouse, like the kids, everything that you need to do, your work, research, whatever it is, it should all be calendared in there. So you don't have time to just flick on the damn television and get a huge dose of negativity in your head, and then you're not clear anymore. So I hope that answers her question, Steph.
I think that's great. This is a piggyback question off of that, I think. This is from Joy. What is the balance here of allowing your self-love and nurturing routines to support your highest self you're calling on? So example, perhaps lying in bed and crying for the day is what's best for calling your higher self forward. Maybe that's a story I'm telling myself. But what's the balance of caring for yourself and pushing forward and working and serving?
Well, I think that there's no question that people are feeling a wide range of emotions. And I think that it's very good that you move it through your body and get out. Crying is a great thing, okay? I don't know that I would spend all day crying. I would give yourself a time limit. I'm going to go cry for an hour or two, but I'm not going to cry all day long. That is not productive. At that point, you're starting to go into self-pity, in my opinion. But for an hour or two, or maybe an hour every day to release emotion, I think that's totally fine. Anger is another one that people are experiencing. Go beat the shit out of a pillow for 20 minutes. Stomp your feet, scream into a pillow if you have to. Get it out on a pillow, not on your spouse, not on your kids, not on your friends and your coworkers and other individuals, or going into self-harm, vindictive behavior, whatever. Get the emotions out of your body. It's very, very important that we emotionally let it move through our body. If we bottle it up, it's going to come out, but it's not going to come out in a good way. So if you have to go for a walk, go for a run, if you have to lift weights, if you have to swim laps, if you have to yell on a pillow, if you have to stomp up and down, if you have to scream into a pillow, if you have to cry, all of that is really great, healthy stuff to move emotion through your body. And then what you want to do is really focus in, allow gratitude to just fill your body. Like close your eyes, take some deep breaths, allow gratitude to really kind of fill your body. You know, Steph, I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm kind of catch you off guard here, but I'm going to see if you're willing to do this, if you're prepared. Would you want to run everybody through a whole self check-in really quick to give them that tool? Are you prepared to do that, or should we hold that off till next week? I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sure, I can do that. I don't need to be prepared.
Okay. Yeah, because you know this like the back of your hand. You do it constantly. So I'm going to have Steph take everybody through really quick here what we call a whole self check-in. And what it's really designed to do is to allow the different parts of ourselves to speak to us and tell us what it needs today. So Steph, I'm going to turn it over to you for a few minutes.
Okay. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just surrender to the sound of my voice. I'm going to take you through a brief visualization where we're going to rebalance all the parts of yourself. So what I'd like you to do is take a deep breath in, and on exhale, close your eyes, and just feel your body sink into your chair or wherever you're sitting. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw and your neck, and just feel your body sitting in your chair. Just scan your body. Notice the areas of your body that feel tight, that are holding tension, that feel warm or cold. Just scan your body. Just notice your body. Now ask your body what it needs from you today, and listen without the need to change or do anything. Think of the amazing ways your body has blessed you and continues to bless you on a daily basis, how it allows you to be flexible and move and experience sensation. And softly out loud say, "Thank you, body." And notice how your body responds to this gratitude. Now look slightly to your right. There, standing before you, is your intellectual self. Your intellectual self looks exactly as you look today, and it's responsible for your problem solving, your decision making, your thinking. It really is the piece of yourself that's always figuring out things and problem solving. Just notice your intellectual self. Now ask your intellectual self what it needs from you today, and listen without the need to change or do anything. Think of all the amazing ways your intellectual self has blessed you and continues to bless you on a daily basis. And softly out loud say, "Thank you, intellectual self." And notice how your intellectual self responds to this gratitude. Now look slightly to your left. There, standing before you, is your emotional self. Just notice your emotional self. Is your emotional self a child, a teenager, a young adult, or a fully mature adult your exact age as you are today? If your emotional self is younger than you are today, ask it what it needs from you today and listen without the need to change or do anything. And then, as you slowly breathe, visualize your emotional self maturing and growing and maturing and growing until your emotional self matches your exact age as you are today. Now, looking at your fully mature adult emotional self, ask this adult emotional self what it needs from you today, and listen without the need to change or do anything. Now think of all the amazing ways your emotional self has blessed you and continues to bless you on a daily basis, how it allows you to feel joy and even sorrow. And softly out loud say, "Thank you, emotional self." And notice how your emotional self responds to this gratitude. Now, standing directly in front of you is your spiritual self. Your spiritual self is your source of inner guidance, your creativity, your desire, your gut reactions. Just notice your spiritual self. Does it take shape or form? Is it just a ball of glowing light? Just notice. Now ask your spiritual self if it has a message for you today, and accept whatever you see, hear, or experience. Think of all the amazing ways your spiritual self has blessed you and continues to bless you on a daily basis. How it's always your source of inner guidance. How it's always connected to you. And softly out loud say, "Thank you, spiritual self." And notice how your spiritual self responds to this gratitude. Now take a deep cleansing breath in. And on exhale, become aware of the room in which you're sitting. And take one more deep cleansing breath in. And on exhale, open your eyes.
Thank you very much, Steph.
My pleasure.
Okay, a couple more questions.
Okay. And the idea with that is that you don't judge anything that you experienced. You just allow everything to be. You could make a practice of this, basically scanning the 4 sections of yourself to give everybody voice, and then just quickly journaling what your experience was from each of those selves. Okay, next question. This question's from Lauren. My partner and I just launched our first course to help people de-stress and evolve through this challenging time. The timing of our company launch around this global situation seems like an amazing opportunity for us to introduce ourselves and our offerings to the world. We actually adjusted our first course to make sense for the present. We're just starting to build our following and learning how to utilize sales funnels. I guess the toleration that we're currently experiencing is that we do not have the momentum to be really successful with this.
Okay. So, Steph, from a marketing perspective, what do you recommend on that?
Oh, I think it's totally garbage. If you look at the recession and the companies that were created in the recession, like Uber and Instagram and Pinterest, they didn't have any momentum. They met a need. So, I mean, from a marketing perspective, I would be getting marketing help. I would be looking at how you can do advertising right now, as paid ads are incredibly inexpensive. But I would be leveraging the expertise of someone who actually knows what they're doing, so you're not figuring this out all on your own. If your product meets a need right now, then actually time is of the essence.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody needs to understand it's really fascinating because relatively, this is a short window where incredible opportunity is opening up that will allow people to build massive businesses coming out of this thing if they recognize that opportunity and take action on it now. Now is when we want to take action on it, not when it's over, because now is when that opportunity is open. And another thing is that the space is a lot less cluttered in the moment because so many businesses have actually shut down. So there's a lot of need that needs to be met out there. So great. That's what I would do. And what Steph said.
I'm telling you, you're not going to get on a phone with David or I and have us be like, nope, no opportunity for you. The laws don't apply to you.
Yeah, never.
Like, it's not going to happen. There's always a way. And that's what we're really good at, is finding a way for you to be able to really thrive through this. Okay, next question from Anonymous. I'm willing, and the rest of my family is resisting change. I spend 80% of my time dealing with their issues. How do I maneuver my time? Thank you.
Schedule it. So you need to schedule their issues also, meaning that you need to draw a boundary with your family. I'm not saying ignore them, but there'll be a special time during the day where you can help them with their issues. And then the rest of the day, you're focused on what you need to do from the aspect of your own responsibility. I'm going to do a podcast on this either this week or next week, specifically about the family issues that are going on here. But it's another one of the big things that I'm seeing where one person is basically taking charge. They're ready to move forward, but everybody in the family's freaking out, and they're creating all kinds of drama around it. And the person who's in charge is getting sucked down by all the drama. So, and when that happens, a boundary has to be set. It has to be, guys, look, if we're going to make it out of this, I understand you're, having a rough time. I'm going to give you time every day where I'll listen to you and I'll help you with what you need, but you have to let me do the things that I need to do so that we can continue to move forward. And that's it. You cannot tolerate them breaking that boundary. So do whatever you have to do to set it and set those parameters and then move forward.
Thank you. Next question, another from an anonymous attendee. I have been feeling very frozen and almost dissociated. I intellectually understand some things that would help my business move forward, but my body is moving so slowly and it is hard to do anything. It feels like even my heartbeat and breathing is slow and I can't make myself accomplish things. I don't want to beat myself up about it, and it doesn't even seem to help when I do. What do you suggest?
Gratitude. So your body, so this is what I talked about people. So it's fight, flight, or freeze. Those are the three responses from our reptilian brain when we're in danger. This situation represents danger in a myriad of different ways for individuals, but this is, for most people, we can't run away from it. We can't fight it, right? So we're relying on the government and the medical community to kind of fight it. We have to deal with our own lives. And that's where, like, the only option that's left for people from a survival standpoint is to go into freeze mode. So that's what you're experiencing. So understand that freeze is the result of experiencing fear. Too much bad information has gotten in your mind and you're going into that freeze mode. To combat that, you have to stop the bad information from coming in, and you need to get a pen and paper and you need to start practicing number one, responsibility, but gratitude. You need to start finding everything in your personal life that you're grateful for, all the knowns, okay? You, your family, your health, your home, beautiful things that you have, things from the past, and then begin to work out into the world, things that you can find to be grateful for, and you will unfreeze yourself in a very short period of time. But you have to follow those two rules. Really limit or get rid of the information that's coming in that's negative. Don't listen to anybody that's negative. Just close the door to that getting into your head and focus on what you're grateful for, and then start making choices and plans to move ahead with the things that you need to move ahead with.
Can I also just share a story of something that happened today with a client I was on a strategy call with?
Yeah, do it.
So I spoke to a woman today who actually is in Indonesia. She's in Bali. She owns a retreat center. And she was experiencing the same thing. And part of it was that there were so many things that needed to be done. She was frozen because she didn't know what she should do next. So instead of just starting with one thing, she just was like, I don't know what to do. So what we did is I helped her figure out what her number one priority was, because she was getting pulled in all these different directions. And I'm sure most of you on this call can relate to that, because you've got kids at home and you've got spouses and you've got your business and you've got your team and you've got all these things. So we helped her get really clear on what her number one priority was, which was she has to bring in money. She has to make sales. So then from that main priority, she listed 4 things that she needs to do every single day to bring in sales. So those are like the top 4 things that she can focus on, that unless someone's dying or there's a fire in the house, those things get done before she goes to bed each night. And she committed to doing those 4 things. So sometimes it's also about making sure that you understand what your number one priority is, and then writing tangible things that need to be done to lead into that priority that can then get you moving and in action so that you're not frozen.
We'll do one more, Steph. We got time for
one more question? Okay. 1 second.
Then I have to move my office back to the house. So the internet's been fixed.
Let me see here. This week, my partner and I launched our business and first online course. I'm the tech savvy partner in our duo. She's more content, and I feel like the success of the business rests on me. I've been feeling tension because I would like her help in the sales and marketing strategy, but she clearly does not want to help there. I've been using your lesson to try to give it meaning based in gratitude, but I'm wondering if you have any other advice so I can maximize my energy and focus in order to bring the best results with acceptance that I'm doing most of the work.
Well, I don't know what the reason is that she doesn't want to. So I'm just going to take it as it's an absolute, and she's not going to. If it wasn't, I think you could talk to her and reason through it. But let's just say that, I mean, that would be the answer if she was open at all. But let's just say that she's not. What a great opportunity for you to see what you're made out of, right? I mean, this is an absolutely fantastic opportunity for you. If you get sucked into her story, you're no better than where she's coming from with whatever story that's got a hold of her by the throat and having her not want to participate. So let me tell you something. I have a relatively big team at this point in my career. If they all told me tomorrow they were leaving, they were quitting, they were done, they're done, you know what I would do? I would just deal with the reality of what that is, and I would start picking up the phone call and making sales myself. I would get my list and I would pick up the phone and I would start making sales. I'm not going to go into self-pity about it. I'm not going to ruminate about it. And then when it's over, I'm going to rebuild my team. Do never let anybody else's threat, anybody else's intimidation, anybody else's not wanting to volunteer to help get in your head and make you think that you're less than, or feel self-pity for yourself, or go into woe is me. You may even want to see if you can find, like, hey, there's a lot of people that want jobs right now. See if you can find somebody that will help you, and whether you can pay them or not. If you can't pay them, say, listen, you help me, you do a good job, you have a job here when this is over. If you can't pay them, pay them. If you can pay them a little bit, pay them a little bit. There's all kinds of people that are out of work right now that need help. There are so many ways out of your situation. It isn't even funny. Don't let this person take up 5 minutes of your space, make a decision and move forward, because that's what great business people and entrepreneurs do. They do not F around with the indecision of other individuals. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I'd be like, okay, great, bye, gone. You're not the right person. I'm moving forward.
Thanks, David. Before we wrap for the day, I have a really quick announcement. Next week on Tuesday, David is actually hosting a very special 3-hour live stream called Unwavering Resilience, How to Rise Up in the Face of Adversity. And the whole 3 hours is focused on how you can see opportunity. So it's an extension of what we're doing in this free group, and the live stream is free as well. So I'm going to post the link to register for that in the chat. But I also want to make you aware of the fact that as part of the live stream, David is going to be giving away free private coaching directly with the two of us. And all we ask is that you share the link with someone that you think will benefit. So as soon as you register, you'll be taken to a thank you page where you'll get a unique link that you can then share with your community. And if they opt in, you get points. The person with the most points wins the free private coaching. So we try to make this a little bit fun, of benefit to everyone involved. And of course, anyone that registers will be able to be present for the 3-hour live stream that's happening on April 7th from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern. We haven't even announced this to our following or our list yet. Our first promo email goes out tomorrow, so you'll see that in your inbox as well. And we can also we'll also put this link, the Unwavering Resilience link, in the Facebook group. So if you don't get a chance to click on it from the chat, you'll have a place where it is. But our hope is, quite honestly, that we can really impact a lot of lives, including your own, and so that we can all come out of this better than we were when this started several weeks ago.
Absolutely. Steph, thanks for helping today. It was fantastic. Sarah, thank you very much. And to my whole team who's behind the scenes, you guys can't see them. They're doing an incredible job to help all of you. So I thank them. All right. Until next Monday, make this the best week yet. Okay. Stay in gratitude. Make a decision, control your thinking, get all the crap out of your environment, move forward. We'll see you in a week. Bye. Hey, if you like this video, be sure to share it on social and leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe.